In an area abundant with beautiful and diverse plants and trees, there was much to share and show off at monthly meetings. The horticulture exhibits began in 1915, and in no time there were 45 classes, including one for children. In 1921, a committee of club members called garden counselors offered instruction and advice, and a horticulture lending library was started in the 1930s. In gardens and pergolas, potting sheds and greenhouses, the members, or their full-time gardeners, labored over cuttings, imported seeds, bulbs, and tubers to grow specimens worthy of a coveted award. Yes, ringers in the form of prized gardeners were allowed. In 1935, 7 out of 35 classes allowed material tended by a gardener, and one horticulture trophy, the Annie Getz Memorial Silver Cup, was awarded to a member who employed a gardener. No longer. By the 1950s, activities centered on plant sales, exhibiting, and workshops, and these remain our interests today. Through the years, members have tended, shared, and exhibited their treasured plants. Can we ever forget Peter Sorensen arriving often at the last minute with large specimens from her special hillside garden? Our exhibitors have won distinguished prizes at major GCA and other shows, and the GCA Horticulture Certificate of Merit was awarded to Miss Emily Getz in 1956, Mrs. George Scott in 1958, Mrs. William Melhado in 1970, Mrs. Arthur Moore in 1974, and Mrs. Robert Cook in 1976. More recent winners of prestigious GCA awards include Mesdames Elwood, Clark, Courtney Pratt, and Windmill. Noteworthy for their many daffodil prizes are Liz and Sally.
Well, I joined the Rumson Garden Club in 1968, and I really didn't know anything about gardening, but I had always had the interest. And at that time, the Garden Club of New Jersey offered mini courses, 2 or 3 day courses in horticulture at Rutgers from time to time. And there was one, so I figured I'd better go over there and try to learn something, even though it was slightly terrifying because there was an exam at the end of the 2 or 3 days, and I hadn't taken the exam in eons. Anyway, during one of the course classes, they offered a lecture on daffodils and judging daffodils, and I was blown away. I had never seen so many varieties of colors and shapes and sizes. The only thing I knew was big yellows, King Alfreds, that was it. But this was just amazing. So when there was a show in Princeton, I went over to look at it and see how to exhibit and where to buy and what to do, and I've been doing it ever since. I have more or less 500 or so here in the front, and I'd like to have more, but maybe not.
I guess I caught yellow fever 25, close to 30 years ago, when that was back in the days when daffodil shows used to be held in church basements, and it would move around the state from year to year, and it was kind of hard to get the whole thing organized. But now we are up at the Frelinghuysen Arboretum in Morristown, and we found a home there, and everything is lovely now. I love all the daffodils, but what really turns me on are the miniatures. And in the daffodil shows, there are many classes for them.
The RGC Horticulture Committee continues to educate members and the community on horticultural topics, ranging from tree identification and selection to rain gardens and rose propagation.
At one point, when Mrs. Booker was president of the Garden Club, Jane Booker, I was on the committee for sending news to the Bulletin, which is the house organ for the Garden Club of America. And I was, at one point when Altair Cook, Mrs. Robert Cook, was president of the club, she had appointed me to go and number the trees and label the trees on Rohallion, which is the largest estate in Rumson. And I did that with the help of a horticulturist from Rutgers, And we did put labels on most of the prominent trees there. And I've been very interested, particularly in trees, because of that.
Club members take pride in all aspects of their gardens, sharing and propagating plant matter, designing garden spaces, participating in workshops, and exhibiting the results.
The roses here at the anchorage were all here, most of them were here when I moved in about 45 years ago. And so I don't know the names of them all. And Stephen Scaniello, who is a rose expert and has written several books, came the other day to see all the roses. He knows this is a Dorothy Perkins, and it's a late Rambler rose. And then he couldn't identify the rose along the side of my house, which is also done from cuttings on my arbor. And he just let me know that the rose people had gotten together and had decided it was a gardenia rose that was named in 1889, and it's cutting from the one that's here in my house. And in the arbor there are some other roses that are old. And on the front of the house there's a Dr. Van. Thrilled with the roses. We're going to bring the garden club here in July and make cuttings, so perhaps we can sell them for our plant sale and share them.
Diane Guidone as horticulture chairman.
My name's Diane Guidone. I'm a member of the Rumson Garden Club. I'm a landscape designer. I joined the Rumson Garden Club as a professional landscape designer because I really wanted to meet people that just shared my love for horticulture and shared my love for plants. I've certainly relished my time with the club and with the people in the club. We have done a lot of things in both flower arranging and horticulture. I chaired the horticulture program for 2 years. In that time, we were able to really expand our program and workshop capacity and did some really interesting things. There was quite a group that went down to Rare Finds Nursery. At that time, we had a propagation workshop where we actually had softwood cuttings and learned how to propagate those. And then we followed up after lunch with a bog workshop where we planted our own individual bog containers using native plants of the pinelands in New Jersey. We've also conducted workshops using bulbs of just all sorts of various minor bulbs through major bulbs in containers, as well as purchasing bulbs for use in the garden. Not just fall blooming bulbs, as many of us tend to really rely on, but also summer blooming and spring blooming bulbs. We also actually had a tuberous begonia workshop, which was really very well received, and we'll be enjoying all of those lovely plants in the summer. We've also engaged and met a lot of professionals in the field that have come to share their knowledge. We've had expert rose pruning workshops. We will be learning how to propagate roses, old roses. We've really had a lot of fun, and I've expanded my knowledge tremendously by being able to really reach out and learn different plant species in depth.
Today, the high quality of exhibits continues with about 16 classes, including novice ones at each meeting. Here, too, trophies are awarded at the annual meeting to constantly high-achieving cultivators of plants, flowers, trees, and shrubs.
Hi, I'm Diana Landreth, and I'm a relatively new member of the Garden Club since 2001. And I met my first Garden Club member right here in this tulip parterre that you see, because someone named Lee Sorensen was going down the street and saw me digging up the front lawn. And she wondered what I was doing. And I decided that since I had a Victorian house, that I would do something formal, which I've never done before, because I think it suits the house. So I laid out this parterre on the axis of the house, And I'm very, very lucky because I'm one of the last people in the area that can plant tulips because I don't have a deer problem. And I love all species of tulips. And around I have all the hybrids, the parrot tulips, Rembrandt tulips, and I also use species tulips, the tiny ones that you can naturalize and bring back. And it's given me a lot of joy over the years, and all my friends are in the garden club.
I'm Barbara Sfidelli, and I joined the garden club in 2003, which was just about 7 years ago, and it's been a wonderful part of my life. I've been involved every year with the different activities. I served as recording secretary for a year, corresponding secretary for 2 years, Christmas greens for 2 years, and I've been on many committees, plant sale, and wherever I was needed to dig in the garden beds, and was very happy doing it all. This is my woodland garden. I started it about 15 years ago, and it has grown. Actually, I think I should stop growing right now. It's enough for me to handle. I've done everything myself except plant this big tree here and another one over there, which I had to do. I lost some trees over the winter. And I've done all the plantings. I like to divide, I like to propagate either by layering or just do little cuttings. And I've learned a lot about that through Garden Club. I've shared my garden with my friends and the Garden Club ladies for meetings. And I just want to make a mention that Diane Clark was here and has included my garden in the archives of the Garden Club of America at the Smithsonian Institute, which is a great honor.
In recent years, photography has become the focus of both the GCA and the RGC. Chairman Avery Brighton has shared her talents in giving beginning and advanced workshops. Photography classes are scheduled several times a year, and a yearly award is given. Since its inception,